LETTER XLVIII OF CLARISSA HARLOWE, OR THE HISTORY OF A YOUNG LADY, VOL. 8. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Nicole Lee. Clarissa Harlowe, or the History of a Young Lady, Vol. 8. By Samuel Richardson. Letter XLVIII. Mr. Belford to Robert Lovelace, Esq. Friday morning, September 1st. It is surprising that I, a man, should be so much affected as I was at such an object as is the subject of my former letter, who also in my late uncle's case, and poor Belton's, had the like before me, and the directing of it, when she, a woman, of so weak and tender a frame, who was to fill it, so soon perhaps to fill it, could give orders about it, and draw out the devices upon it, and explain them with so little concern as the women tell me she did to them last night, after I was gone. I really was ill, and restless all night. Thou wert the subject of my execration, as she was of my admiration, all the time I was quite awake: and when I dozed, I dreamt of nothing but of flying hour glasses, death's heads, spades, mattocks, and eternity, the hint of her devices, as given me by Mrs. Smith, running in my head. However, not being able to keep away from Smith's, I went thither about 7. The lady was just gone out. She had slept better, I found, than I, though her solemn repository was under her window, not far from her bedside. I was prevailed upon by Mrs. Smith and her nurse Shelburne, Mrs. Lovick being abroad with her, to go up and look at the devices. Mrs. Lovick has since shown me a copy of the draught by which all was ordered, and I will give thee a sketch of the symbols. The principal device, neatly etched on a plate of white metal, is a crowned serpent with its tail in its mouth, forming a ring, the emblem of eternity, and in the circle made by it is this inscription: Clarissa Harlowe, April 10, then the year, aetat. 19. For ornaments, at top an hour-glass winged, at bottom an urn. Under the hour-glass, on another plate, this inscription: Here the wicked cease from troubling, and here the weary be at rest. Job 3:17. Over the urn, near the bottom: Turn again unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath rewarded thee. And why? Thou hast delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, and my feet from falling. Psalm 116, 7, 8. Over this is the head of a white lily, snapped short off, and just falling from the stalk; and this inscription over that, between the principal plate and the lily: The days of man are but as grass, for he flourisheth as a flower of the field: for as soon as the wind goeth over it, it is gone, and the place thereof shall know it no more. Psalm 103, 15, 16. She excused herself to the women on the score of her youth, and being used to draw for her needleworks, for having shown more fancy than would perhaps be thought suitable on so solemn an occasion. The date April 10th she accounted for, as not being able to tell what her closing day would be, and as that was the fatal day of her leaving her father's house. She discharged the undertaker's bill after I went away, with as much cheerfulness as she could ever have paid for the clothes she sold to purchase this her palace, for such she called it, reflecting upon herself for the expensiveness of it, saying, that they might observe in her, that pride left not poor mortals to the last: but indeed she did not know but her father would permit it, when furnished, to be carried down to be deposited with her ancestors; and in that case she ought not to discredit those ancestors in her appearance amongst them. It is covered with fine black cloth, and lined with white satin; soon, she said, to be tarnished with viler earth than any it could be covered by. The burial dress was brought home with it. The women had curiosity enough, I suppose, to see her open that, if she did open it; and perhaps thou wouldst have been glad to have been present to have admired it too. Mrs. Lovick said, she took the liberty to blame her, and wished the removal of such an object, from her bed chamber at least; and was so affected with the noble answer she made upon it, that she entered it down the moment she left her. To persons in health, said she, this sight may be shocking, and the preparation, and my unconcernedness in it, may appear affected: but to me, who have had so gradual a weaning time from the world, and so much reason not to love it, I must say, I dwell on, I indulge, and, strictly speaking, I enjoy, the thoughts of death. For believe me, looking steadfastly at the awful receptacle, believe what at this instant I feel to be most true, that there is such a vast superiority of weight and importance in the thought of death, and its hoped for happy consequences, that it in a manner annihilates all other considerations and concerns. Believe me, my good friends, it does what nothing else can do. It teaches me, by strengthening in me the force of the divinest example, to forgive the injuries I have received, and shuts out the remembrance of past evils from my soul. And now let me ask thee, Lovelace, Dost thou think that, when the time shall come that thou shalt be obliged to launch into the boundless ocean of eternity, thou wilt be able, any more than poor Belton, to act thy part with such true heroism, as this sweet and tender blossom of a woman has manifested, and continues to manifest? Oh no! It cannot be. And why can't it be? The reason is evident. She has no wilful errors to look back upon with self reproach; and her mind is strengthened by the consolations which flow from that religious rectitude which has been the guide of all her actions, and which has taught her rather to choose to be a sufferer than an aggressor. This was the support of the divine Socrates, as thou hast read, when led to execution, his wife lamenting that he should suffer, being innocent. Thou fool, said he, wouldst thou wish me to be guilty? Letter XLVIII.